After a brief interlude, where because of a peace deal, several rounds of exchange of hostages and prisoners between Israel and Hamas took place. The number of hostages released so far is 141 out of the 251 who were captured, and the number of prisoners released from Israeli jails is many times more than 10 times. It is about 2000, 1995 to be exact. So one question is, how come there are so many Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jail? What are they doing there? What is their crime? And if we look into this matter, it would turn out that most of the Palestinians who are languishing in Israeli jails haven't committed any crimes. They are there just because they may have opposed an Israeli soldier or some such incident. So it is quite unfair, that Israel, who has made such a big deal about the 7th October 2023 attack, in which 251 Israelis were abducted and about 1200 Israeli citizens were killed. Of course, it was bad. It has to be condemned without any question. But we must also raise the question about the Palestinians, whose numbers could be anywhere between 7 to 10,000. Actually, the numbers have increased during this period, when Israel has continued an almost, incessant onslaught on Gaza. So after this brief interlude, the attacks resumed on Gaza, as if Gaza wasn't enough destroyed, enough number of people were not killed. There were already 50,000 people killed and about 2 lakhs who have fled Gaza. This has been a continuous phenomena since Israel has been created, from the infamous Nabka, when about 7 lakh Palestinians were pushed out of their homeland, and they or their subsequent generations are languishing in refugee camps in Syria and Jordan and Egypt, and even inside Palestine and West Bank. More numbers had to flee during this current war. So Palestinians have suffered in every manner. Almost 70% people who have been killed were women and children, and Israel has relaunched the attack after the brief interim period of peace, and it has killed more than 2,000 people as of now in the fresh round of attacks beginning March after the peace deal. And Israel wants Hamas to surrender, to return the remaining 59 hostages, all of whom are not alive, and about half of them are assumed to be dead, and it wants Hamas to surrender them unconditionally. And what Hamas is saying, that it is ready to surrender provided Israel gives a word that the war would stop and release more prisoners from its jails, and of course agrees to the reconstruction of Gaza. I mean, somebody has to take the responsibility. Israel has wantonly destroyed Gaza. It has probably no building is left safe there now. People, of course, have been killed, and the worst is that children have been killed. A 6-year-old Hind Rajab, who was killed, has been singled out, and a foundation has been created which is now pursuing the case of Hind Rajab and is trying to prosecute the Israeli soldiers who killed her. And they have even identified the colonel who was responsible for killing of 6-year-old Hind Rajab. A very terrible incident in which the family of Hind Rajab is killed in an attack by the Israelis. Hind Rajab survives for some time. She is lying there seeking help, and then an ambulance is coming there with two medical professionals to take her to the hospital. And imagine that even the ambulance is attacked and the medical help does not reach Hind Rajab and she dies. So her case is being pursued by this foundation which has been formed in her name, and they have identified the Israeli colonel who was responsible for killing her, and the foundation is going to prosecute him. It is a war crime. In wars, normally it is agreed that only combatants should engage with each other and they can kill each other, but common civilians should be spared. But Israel has not followed this norm right from the beginning and has killed women and children in large numbers. Who is going to hold Israel responsible for this? This is the most egregious, most heinous crime that Israel has committed. And as if this was not enough, all the destruction, almost daily attacks we hear of daily killings. If you consider the number of 52,000 and count the number of days since 7th October 2023, the number of people getting killed every day is more than 90. Imagine, we are so shaken by the killing of 26 people in Pahalgam one day, or by the killing of 20 soldiers by the Chinese in 2020 at Galwan. But Gaza is losing more than 90 citizens every day. Every day they are getting killed for the past year and a half. So, what Israel did on top of all these crimes was to de-recognize the United Nations agency which was working for relief. There is a United Nations agency, UNRWA, which has been especially created for Palestinian refugees. And this agency was de-recognized because apparently some members of this agency were working with Hamas. That was the accusation which Israel leveled against this agency, and it de-recognized it, and worse, it has stopped it from carrying relief material into Gaza. Now imagine food and medicines, because Gaza doesn't have an economy. Everything from medicine to food to weapons comes from outside through the illegal tunnels underneath Rafah. Now this food which was coming from outside so that people could survive has been stopped. Medicines have been stopped. So life-saving support system for the Gaza, which was very important for the survival of people, the injured and who are still there, who are still living, was choked, and Israel has now adapted this as a weapon. I mean, denying food and medicines to the people and choking them to death, starving them to death. And you can see pictures where children are clamoring for food, whatever little is there being offered to them by some agencies, by some NGOs, and Israel doesn't feel any compunction. Neither does the United States or any of the Western powers who uphold the values of human rights and liberty and all the nice things in the world, which a civilized society is supposed to possess. and the same kind of values are being overlooked, are being, people in Gaza are being denied the human rights and the right to their survival and their other fundamental rights, and this is a crime. And someday in future, when this war ends, we hope that the Israelis and everybody who is complicit in this crime must be taken to task for having, committed the egregious act of denying people the food and the medicines so basic for survival, and choking them to death. We hope that the kind of things which are happening there are not repeated anywhere, and no civilized world should tolerate this. There should have been an uproar. There should have been a worldwide, opposition to what is going on there. But unfortunately, except for South Africa, which went to the International Court of Justice, no nation took it up in that manner. Otherwise, on the forum of United Nations, Israel should have been isolated and should have been held accountable. We hope that Israel is held accountable in future and made to pay the price for all the crimes that it is committing in Gaza right now. Thank you.